Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Saada Music Business Session. Today we're dealing with issues of artist development in the country. Joining me is a panel of esteemed guests, music industry experts, leaders from various organizations, role players, as well as key drivers of information that as a developing artist, you must always have. We will be joined by some of the guests who are on Zoom and also everybody that is watching from home. Allow me the opportunity to also thank and welcome and greet leaders of various formations in the music industry who is part of the audience here. I will give an opportunity to each and every one of our panelists to actually introduce themselves in details. What formation are they representing? And of course, their view on the issue of artist development in South Africa.
Thank you, Program Director. My name is Romeo Kretzman, the Secretary General of South African Music Industry Council. I'm here representing SAMIC.
My name is Tobela Dlamini. I'm the Deputy Secretary General of SAMIC and also the Deputy Chair of the Recording Industry of South Africa, which is RISA. We want to take this opportunity to say we welcome the opportunity to talk about arts development.
Greetings to all of you. My name is Stanley Koza. I'm the Deputy Chairperson of ECHO. I also sit as the Chairperson of Mushito, which deals with representing the sector in coordinating some of the biggest events and also just platforms that educates people about the music business, which has inspired programs like this today. On the other hand, I'm just also a practitioner within the music business value chain. I'm the global brand manager for Mayokioki. So I'm here today just to share experience with you. I was once there, today I'm here purely because I learned from all the leaders that are sitting here. Thank you.
I'm Bongani Mahlangu. I'm a writer attached to the craft of journalism. So I like to tell stories, beautiful stories.
Hi, Bongani Matenjwa. I'm a senior administrator at Shia Publishing, and we are very grateful to have this opportunity to sit again on this panel and just to share with the upcoming news so that we can prepare you guys better for a better future in the industry. There is life only if you get such opportunities. Yeah.
No, thank you very much, my panel, for such a variety of structures that really must pave a way. I know that my audience will be asking questions as well, but let's drill down to the reality. Is the music industry, Tobela, still referred as dog eat dog? You need connections to get in it? Or how does RISA make it easy for a young person who's sitting somewhere discovering talent, they are talented, their problem is to get in because it has been labeled as a dog eat dog industry. Is it still a dog eat dog industry?
It's a very tough one, dog eats dog. I think for me, with my Smolanyana experience, is that what makes it into the industry, it's a hit. When you have a song, for me, that's a gateway into the industry because a song makes an artist. Despite people that might say connections, I strongly believe that if you have a hit, no one will ever stop you. Personally, as a record label owner, what I normally do when we go to studio is that we must make sure that we come out with songs that are viable, songs that have messages in it, songs that are going to be difficult for those who say dog eats dog to resist. Songs when you present them on radio, because the other problem is that my program director is that you'll find people when they have songs, If you don't have a skill on selling your song, you will say it's a dog, it's dog, because you don't have a skill of selling that particular song. So having a skill of selling a song, that actually opens up a lot of doors for you. So I strongly believe that when you have a hit, and also when you have a very good PR and marketing acumen, you will make your life easier. Because people are complaining, but the same London bread is that when you listen to the very same song they are complaining about, some might not even see light of day, unfortunately. So for me, I've always used that if you have a hit, I strongly believe that nobody and anybody can stop you from making inroads into this particular industry. It's an industry made out of hits.
Which organizations are capable to incubate the young people to get into the music industry and get exposed like all others?
Yeah. I think the most critical part about placing yourself and your talent in the right space is that you need to, one, take yourself serious. The second reality is that you need to attend conferences and discussion platforms like this, because that's the only way you can network with the right people. By virtue of you taking yourself and your work serious, the fact that you took your day to come here today to learn about the music industry business, you have met a lot of speakers, you've met a lot of people from different places. So it's how you network yourself, how you connect yourself to people, cut pride, cut fake activities that won't take you anywhere. Be human, you're sitting next to each other, you might not even know the next person, what is their name, what do they do. You know, when we started in the game, opportunities like this were not there. But because the industry had passion to bring people together, organizations like Mushito were formed, where people must come and learn, meet international speakers, meet international promoters. So there are forums where the music industry is formalizing our arts practitioners.
Rabongani, you've written a lot about newcomers in the industry. What are the key elements that you look at for me to get to be in your pen and write a story about me that can be published?
Well, on the surface, the first most important thing is can you do what you say you're doing? You know, can you, if you say you are a singer, can you sing? And have you told yourself that can you sing, or you know that you can sing? So it's very important that you know that, because when you know that you can sing, you will sing with conviction. And the person who's listening to you singing with conviction will be convinced of your singing, because you are convinced yourself that you can sing, or you can play whatever instrument that you want to play. So convince yourself that you can do it, and know that you can do it, and do it. Then the other person will be convinced by your conviction. So believe in yourself. In simplest terms, I think that's how they put it. They say, believe in yourself, believe in what you do. Because if you believe in what you do, it's easy for another person to believe in what you do. It's like somebody saying to you, you know, if you believe in you, you make it easy for me to believe in you.
Bongani, do we really need a hit only to get into the industry?
I would say if you say a hit, it depends. It's a hit to who? Because a song can mean different things to different people. To a record label exec, they need sales. To a promoter, they need something that will sell to people so that they can buy tickets. To me, as a music publisher, it means a completely different thing to the other compatriots of mine, because I am looking at a song that can be liked by someone who produces a movie, that can be liked by someone who wants to make an advert, that is liked by someone who just wants to make a documentary about animals. So a song remains just a song. The question is, do you understand where you are when we speak of the originality that was mentioned, authenticity? We talk about believing in yourself. If you know that you can tap into a certain market, or having gone through maybe such seminars, then you have actually identified a niche. You need to really believe in yourself enough to know that you can be best at something at least. Then you approach different role players. As a music publisher, I can tell you now, no song is a bad song for me, as long as it is of good quality though. You cannot record using just any phone or just using any studio. Make sure that you actually take your craft that serious. And then when I receive it as a music publisher, I can somehow listen to it and maybe assist you in understanding exactly where we can actually place it, you know.
Stan, you had a hand just to make an addition before we actually get and now drill into the realities as the change is here. COVID has affected us. How do young people still use an old template in this new time?
I think there was a point that came from what Bongan was saying. Mine was to say to the audience, you know, the presence of social media has shown us a complete different industry on its own of the music industry. If you have the ability to understand the previous ways of doing music and looking at how people are doing music in today's world, especially when it comes to branding, positioning, and selling yourself as an artist. I mean, I'll give an example with the late Mama, G65. I mean, she came up with a song that ordinarily everyone will have said, ah, what is this, you know? But it found its way to the houses and ears of different radio stations and television platforms. But that very same song, if I was to come to you and say, is this a good song, you will have rejected. So what I'm trying to say is there's also an equal platform on social media where you are not necessarily presenting yourself against forces that wants to limit you. But if you're able to speak to the audience that is on social media and convince them with your talent, you might lend yourself great opportunities within the music business. So I just wanted to say, apart from the traditional way of doing things and radio, you don't necessarily need to think you need a lot of money to make it. You might need a great team of people that knows how to plan and PR you perfectly on social media platforms.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Koza, for that, because we have seen the rise of Uncle Vinny from Norway. Young people have seen that. We have seen how Big Zulu has pushed using authenticity. He's the top player now in the space. He managed to rise from, if you look at his background, where he was, the hostels of this country, the taxi industry of this country. He used that, glamorized that, and now look at where he is. So we want to understand whether if we come to you, SG, we know you're representing most of this organization from Saada, ECO, RISA, SAMRO, all of these organizations. Is there, as we now are in the fourth industrial revolution, but also the pressure of COVID that has pushed a large number of our people, especially in this creative industry, into the brand of poverty. Is the music industry going to survive this wave? Is, as a young person sitting wherever, do I need a record label for me to succeed?
Thank you, Program Director. As a national music industry value chain mother body, we started working on your question last year after all of us were affected by COVID. Firstly, let me acknowledge the presence of music industry organization in our country. So what we have done collectively with all structures of music in this country, we form this organization I'm representing, South African Music Industry Council, SAMIC. First of all, why we formed this council was to deal with these measures so that if we are facing disaster program director like COVID, we come together and seek the way forward. Most of you will recall from the 21st to the 22nd of April at Bishop Hotel, we had our elective conference. And one of the resolutions taken in that conference was to come up with the South African music industry recovery plan beyond COVID-19. So is coming up. There is a resolution. We put together our leaders and expect to develop that document so that to assist this industry. To answer your question, how can we survive? So is coming. And secondly, within the South African Music Industry Council, we created what we call SAMIC Music Chapter. So that the young people, we created a forum for them to advise us, to keep us informed regarding the needs of the young people in this country. And we know, all of us, that they are playing a critical role in the digital platforms. So that is where we are going to engage them to make sure within 60 days from the 22nd of April, we do have our own policy conference. And one of the policies who are going to be approved in that conference, my colleague will support me on that, is a digital communication and social media policy. Because we, as a motherboard of music industry, we don't want to duplicate things. If SADA is there to deal with arts development, we're not there in that space. But we need to be there and support that organization and the young people so that things are happening. So we are coming up, we are forcing the legislation of the music industry. We do understand that we do have legislation of South Africa as a government, but we as a music industry are coming up with our own regulations. So now we are going to pronounce, after we met the NEC, National Executive Committee of SAMIC, where we are going to pronounce the South African Music Industry Regulatory Council to enforce law within the music industry so that the young people and all stakeholders within the music industry are being supported to make sure that our music is taking a certain stage. Remember, in the past, Program Chair, all the people within the music industry, the stakeholders, your role players, there were issues, a number of challenges. So now we do have a motherboard who's going to address those issues so that if there are disputes, we need to deal with those disputes. And also, more importantly, this Music Industry Council SAMIC must protect this industry. We need to protect the very same artists who are developing from abuse. So we are there as a motherboard of the industry to drive this matter forward. And also, lastly, to engage government on policies we are going to approve so that the government, within their own legislation, all of us who are protected in this industry. Thank you, Program Chair.
No, thank you very much. I think there is hope there. Majority of young people now, they understand what intellectual property is and what we are talking about. They've attended a large number of conferences. They've participated in various structures. They want to protect, when they produce music, they want to protect their own. Baba Dlamini, tell us, there is a current debate about the ownership of the master. Young people want to own their master. Is this the end of record companies? Because everybody else will get into the space, record themselves, pay for themselves, as well as own that master. Is there still a need and a role for record companies in South Africa in this digital era?
There is a need for a record label to still exist. Because remember, what I think needs to happen is that, which didn't happen before, is that you will put an effort into your work. And somebody comes and takes your work and want to own it, meanwhile they didn't put any effort into it. Now, the status quo must change, in a sense that when I, as an artist, have done work, and I'm coming to you as a record label, the record label must now understand that the times are different. I own my work. I need to be entitled to my work, specific. We need not to discuss that. The record label's work is to assist me now, to give me certain steps for me to make it in this particular business, because it is not easy to do this thing alone. Make no mistake about it. There's marketing and PR that needs to happen. Your music, even if you've done it, you must understand that immediately you've given it to radio, you've given it to everybody, it's been played in an advert, as Bohan has alluded to. You now need experts that are going to make sure that your rents and cents, they get to be collected in the right way. Because as an artist, you cannot produce yourself, sing for yourself, sell yourself, go look for your money wherever it is, go to your own shows. That's why you need not to be greedy. You need to understand that you need that home which will make it easy for you to say, mine is this, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, please get to assist me. Hence, in terms of saying record labels work will be finished, it's just a myth. Look at it from this point. You want to take your music abroad. Yes, you can do it via social media. But at some point, you will then need somebody who's going to speak for you. And whenever you are not in that space, the music is speaking for you, but the terms that you're going to find when you go to Europe, go wherever you want to go, you will need people to speak for you. Now, that's when the record label comes in. If you look at a typical example, Universal and Sony, they are here in South Africa, but you go all over the world. They've got what you call this branches all over the place. Now, if I want to do a collaboration, which is what we tried to do with one of my artists, Ombuzen, with Rihanna, let me tell you, with like working with Universal, it makes life a bit easy to now connect with Rihanna on the other side, because now Universal has signed Rihanna through her label within Universal. I have an artist who is signed in South Africa with Universal. Now it becomes easy for me to say, hey, Universal, here, pause. Can you speak to your colleague on the other side? You know, even though the song is there, but can you do that for me? So there are elements where you need these record companies, but there are elements where now you need to determine your own future. Your own future means this is the type, because what the mistake that we used to make in the old days with the record companies, we'll tell an artist to say, do not sing gospel, sing this. Only to find that this person is spiritually inclined, he wants to sing the spiritual things, when hip hop. Come the day he has to perform, things are not working. An artist must decide, what is it that I want to do with myself? What are my limitations? What is my talent? From that point on, you go to a record company, you now tell me as a record company owner. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to tell me and say, this is what I want to sing. It's up to me to say, this is in line with my vision of the company or not. There is a space now of a yes and a no. Unlike before. Lastly, I always give people a typical example about Rebecca Malope. Rebecca was singing what you normally call the bubblegum music. 1-2-1-2, she finds herself in her spiritual space of seeing what she does, which is gospel. Look at her today. The record company understood them to say, this is where I want to go, and this is where she went. Look at her today. But don't be forced, our honorable audience, to not be forced to sing something that is not in you. Because for you to sell it, it's not going to happen. So record companies, they still have. But you, as an artist, you have the final say. Because this is your destination at the end of the day, not mine, but yours.
For your own knowledge, is that in the debate around the ownership of a master, most of you must understand what composed the song, or how does the song come about. You will have a group of composers, and in the body of composition, we're talking about the one that will dream the song and the one that will author the song, which means the one that will generate the melody of the song, and as well as the one that will author the song. The copyright laws of South Africa continues to protect you, that you've got the right in composition. And that is what the leader is talking about, to say, if you've got a large number of catalog of composition, even when you go to a record company, the record company's role will be to actually make sure that the works that you have composed is now translated into a sound recording, which is the new right altogether. So the ones that pays for the new right, which is the sound recording, is the one that owns the master. And we're dealing with the issue of Jerusalem. Not long time ago, one of the commentators, Nzikima Zwawi, was saying, hey, let that song be given to Nomcebo. And that is now limited understanding of how this industry is. Both Master KG and they will own the composition of the song. They will be paid by Samro for as long as they live. But Open Mic, as the company that has made Jerusalem, they will remain as the owners of the master of the song. So it doesn't mean that if you don't have the master, then your rights are shrinking in the business. Just to share with you just that component. Leader Stan, before we get into the questions, I see now the hands are rising. Just share with us now the importance of communicating with through the record company to collaborate across the borderline. That is very exciting from what Udlamini is saying. Share with us, young people in majority, some of them are just artists, they just want to see them on stage. Why do we have independent record companies, and what is the role of independent record companies in a country like South Africa now?
Yeah. Look, if you look at the structure of our country, I think the leader has already elaborated on the roles of record companies, which are the same. The reality is that most people in today's world are opting to stand independent purely because I think they believe they have capacity, they believe they have the resources to can go into the business and do as much as they can and compete in the space with majors. But what is more important than anything is that as an artist, you need to understand two things. You know, talent is like money. If you've got money, you give it to a bank to take care of it. The bank then tells you how your money can be withdrawn, when, and how you withdraw it. When you take your talent to an independent record company or to a company, you are merely saying, I've got talent, but I cannot maximize on the exploitation of my talent. Can you exploit it as much as you can so that I can make great return of investment with my talent? There's no person in this country who can stand up and say, I'll literally do everything myself. So imagine now I need to call you for an invoice for you to go to your own gig. When I finish calling you, someone must call you and say, I need your song on Mvango. While we're having that discussion, someone must call you and say, we want you on Tobela. You understand? That's why you always need a team around you, people that can sit and understand your vision enough to dream with you, and then be able to tell you, this you can do, this you can't do. You know, a person who does not have any person who tells him, this you can do, this you can't do, is a very dangerous person with talent. Because if you don't want to be told what you can do and what you can't do, you'll have a problem. You will be a danger to yourself and your talent. You must be able to have people that can honestly tell you, hey, this direction works. This one is risky. This one we need to adjust here and there. That's why there's always people behind everyone. You see, in everything we are saying here, when we finish, there are people that will engage with to say, for future discussions, what else must we do? So even you as artists, you must be able to have people that you sit with that can honestly tell you, this one won't work. And if they say don't work, you don't have to make noise and say they don't believe in me. Find out what they are saying, why it won't work. I'll give you an example. You might do great music. There are artists in this country who do great music, but those music don't bring them shows. Because when it comes to promoters are looking for what they can hype for them to have enough audience to be able to make money. So sometimes you need to balance your craft with the ability to understand the need for comments. So if your music is not good enough to play in movies, for example, what's the purpose of doing it? If it's not good enough for it to play on radio, it's good enough to play on the street. What are the advantages and the disadvantages? So you must always be able to create a balance. Have people who are honest around you. Don't lie to yourself and say, I can do everything on my own. Independence is there to give you that ability to dream and do whatever it is that you will, but you work within a frame. There are things that you need to achieve with your team, and it is possible. Trust me, I've seen, my Okioki started as a joke in 4.5. It was 4 minutes, 16 seconds on YouTube. And everybody started saying, what is this? Today it has become, just an anthem on its own, purely because of what was able to be done in a short space of time when just that one-liner came up and everybody sang on it. So I'm saying, in whatever you are doing, there must be that unique pink thing that everybody can identify. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the message is loud and clear. Promoters do not book artists, they book brands. And that is the fact. We tell you now, for you to be on that poster, you must be a crowd puller. Nongelo, comrade, can you hear us on that side? Please greet the people.
Yes, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
We can hear you loud and clear, leader.
Thank you. Thank you so much, leadership. It's an honor and a privilege to be invited in this platform. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to congratulate Samik on their successful conference. We look forward in the exciting news that the SG has just shared with us.
Most of the commercial music that you listen, dance to, that's the man behind. Mjakes greet our people.
Yeah, no, that's a huge hat you are putting on my head right now. My name is Mujali Fatebe. I'm a music producer for the longest time. As earlier I said, but you couldn't hear me. I think it's now over 25 years. I've been going through genres from kwaito to Afropop to everything. Even my piano, I'm in it, you know. So, yeah. So and I also have a record label, and I've worked with a number of artists, mostly Afropop, your Kelly Kumalo, Zaharas, Dandos, and a lot of new artists now I'm developing. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. We have questions on the floor. Please stay there, and we must assist our young people. They will be asking you, how do I make sure that my music is a hit? When do I know that it is a hit? How do I work with a person like yourself? You are too expensive. How do I access you? And also, I know that they will ask questions on this side on the role that we can play, because we must never downplay the fact that to get into the music industry, you need money.
I want to ask Kulendaba Yama record labels, because we hear a lot of things, you know, and you find Uti, as Obaba has mentioned, Uti, there is a composer, you know, and now how does it get to a point where, like, the artist does not even get royalties for being the composer? How does it, like, should manje record label sithathe konke shukuthi kuleyo ama royalties okuleyo nto leyo sekungiyatholakala lutho? How does it get to that point? And why nama awards athathwa man? Ithole ne award ke manje uwinile kwilona, because this thing is the artist. I think I'm the one who came in iqala ngami before it comes to the record label. I think yes, the record label will be producing, they'll be doing the marketing, the PR or the what's or not. But how does it get to a point where now you own nothing and nothing at all? They just say hamba, or what happened, Nyabo?
Let's take the second question.
I wanted to ask, or maybe let's just try and differentiate the two, the hit song and the message, and also the level of message that we're talking about. I think if we can elaborate on that so that we don't end up confusing artists. And also if the song doesn't have a message and is able to go out there and people are enjoying it, and how do you come to a position to say this one, the message is not there? And how do you conclude? And who's supposed to do that? Thank you.
In leadership.
No, thanks, Chair. I think I'm going to start with the Summers, because I also sit as the chair of the Summers. When you win an award, let's clarify things, because some of these messages, they are sometimes don't have a validation in it. When an artist wins an award, that award gets to be taken by the artist. What the record label does, it actually pays a RISA for that particular copy of an award. One award will stay with the record company, one award will go to your place. When we go to the hit, you know, I grew up being, fortunate enough, I was one of those that were groomed by the same Atama Fogate, by the way. But that's why I landed my first job at 999. And that's where this thing hit, you know, was drilled into my head. That when an artist goes to the studio, hey, you must make a hit. You must give us a hit. When you go to studio, you must start to think about two things. Uputbongani said, a good song and a hit. When you do a hit, you must now be thinking around issue. I want to get gigs. There's one best songwriter that I know. Theo Khosingo. That guy writes good music. Né? A good song, it's for me when I'm now chilling and saying, I'm going to buy that Zonke album because it's got good songs. But he hit, before I move, program chair. The dangers about the hit, from a sales point of view, forget it. Because this WhatsApp changing of songs, these free things where you pirate music, you pirate more hits than a good song. A good song you want to go buy and own it because it is what? It's a good song. That's where the difference is at.
Guys, I don't think we must miss this part. And if you get it correct today, you will always understand it and it will never miss you. There's no music discussion between an artist and a record company that starts and ends on verbal discussions. Everything is governed by what is written down. Now, most people often say that I'm being ripped off, this and this, most especially after the divorce. I'll say after the divorce because it will help us understand. For example, if a company says to you, we can borrow you 2 million to buy your house and whatever. But for us to be able to recover the money, we'll recover it through your royalties. And you agree and you sign that they must borrow you 2 million. It necessarily means before you have paid back the debt, they must first recoup. It's a general business understanding. The question is whether you enter into this agreement with full understanding or you enter into them because at that point it makes sense for you, and then when you leave, it no longer makes sense. So the reality is on what is it that you do. There's no one who can withhold your royalties. For what? Because there's about six royalties out of one song. There's different income streams. So you cannot be cheated. It's all about what is it that you are agreeing to do. What do you do when you're within the company? There's no company that will give you 3 million rand and say, go buy a property for yourself. When they finish buying that property for you, then you want to leave, but you owe them 3 million. Where do you expect the company to take the money? Always, most artists have the opportunity to be honest and also have the opportunity not to tell the truth where they need to tell the truth. So I'm not saying that everything has been done greatly to others. Some have gone through bad, some have gone through worse, some are still going to go through it because some don't listen. But you can understand that if you start a relationship based on an agreement that is written down, there's no one who can rob you. If they do, there's free lawyers in our country. There's free platforms where you can go. There's organizations, there's SAMIC, there's organizations that can interpret a contract for you for free to see if it is correct or not. Try learn as much as you can. But let us start also as a nation and also as artists. Let's start dealing with the truth for the truth. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm saying, one of the challenges we have, we are dealing also with record labels, independents that don't understand the standards of the industry. So now they create contracts according to what they feel. And now a contract is a contract. Whatever is there and whatever you sign, you sign. So if a record label says, we're only giving you 5% and you sign that contract, the sad part is that you are the one who signed the contract. But at the same time, record companies, independents, a lot of them, they will create a contract based on what they feel, not on the industry standards. And if you're talking independent, most of the time there's no standards there. There's no industry standards. They'll give you what they want to give you, and you will also take what you want to take because you are excited. The challenge is that we have contracts that are unfair to the artists a lot of the time. But also the challenge, the second challenge is that the artists are the one who signed those contracts. I don't know if Sami can also help with a body where people can go to have their contracts checked.
Thank you very much, Leader. But let me give Leader Nongelo an opportunity to continue where you have started, Leader.
Thank you very much, leadership. Sorry, man, I don't know what happened there. Yes, like I was saying, that ourselves as a youth organization, you would know that we've always been at the forefront of advocating for artistic development and the creative economy in our lifetime. And that would mean that it would speak to an issue of access to information, and access to facilities for young people to go and partake in artistic development programs. It is a huge challenge, and it's a sad reality that in most of our communities, whether that be in townships or in remote areas, we still have young people who do not have the correct access to information, the correct facilities. We have been engaging with some institutions to establish help desks in these remote areas.
Thank you very much, leadership. I think the issue of development of our localities, provinces is very vital. And I think that is where the program of SAMIC must start, as we say, because majority of young people, they still want to come to Gauteng for them to make it in the industry. I think that's an old template. Let's bring in a new template. We are coming there now. There was a hand here. Yes, continue, sir. Just ask that question. We're grateful that everybody is participating now. Yes.
In terms of the intellectual property and royalties, I will feature an artist, which is a brand. I'm not a brand as yet, as big as the artist can be. But now, I pay the artist to do the music. For example, I will say, I want to feature Rihanna and say, Rihanna, artist, give me 1 million, I will be on your song. Are we done? Or Rihanna still also needs to also have the royalties out of whatever that I paid Rihanna, or the royalties as I give me now. So that's what I wanted to ask. Thank you very much.
If your presentation and proposal to Rihanna was that you'll pay R1 million, that includes composition right, she reserves everything for you as the one who's proposing, that would be the deal. If the agreement says, you are featuring me, you pay me R1 million, I'll compose my part, and for that I'll get composition part, that's what will be. And that's what will be indicated on your split sheet for royalties and for composition right at SAMRO and all the other societies that collects royalties. So if you do, at the end of the day, do a music video for that particular song, there will be, obviously, for everything you do, make sure that it is in writing. There's no verbal discussion here. If you pay R1 million, find out what is the million covering. Put it down and then let Rihanna sign so that tomorrow you know what you must do.
Just to add on that one, I think the culprits in most of the cases, I know where the brother is going. Yeah. The culprits in most cases is the Maskandi genre. He is thinking our Maskandi. Kwa Maskandi, there is no paperwork. But I'm saying, put your ducks in one row, make sure that there's documentation on what you do. What is it that you want? Must I pay you 50K? Off you go. This is my song, I own it. We are to agree, yes or no. If it's a yes, no problem. I sign the pants.
I go by the name of K-Switch. I'm a musician all the way from Tembisa. As an independent artist, I have a project now and I believe in the quality I'm trying to put out. So now, how do I approach like the PR and the publishing? How do I approach the record label so that I can get enough backing to push the music? So can I do it via email, or is it best I do it on a personal level? So that's the question I'm trying to ask.
If I've got songs, what else can I do with the songs? And then uzongena as well.
Penny Pesha. Gabian. Igabili. You can either liaise with your publisher and have a good relationship with the publisher so that your publisher can be able to advise you better, number one, as to what platforms you can use. Secondly, the good publisher will have networks, very strong networks that they can actually use to help you reach wherever you want to go with whatever message that you have in your music.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say, you owe it to yourself to know everything about what you are doing. So that tomorrow you have the answers for reasons things are happening to you. Because you cannot continue to act as a victim every time things go bad. You must ask yourself, what was your role in making those things to be as bad as they are? So the idea that you at the beginning, when you're supposed to understand what you're getting yourself into, you don't have the time to do that. All you just want to be famous. I think another mistake that most artists make is that if you come in the music business and you become big for the first 2-3 years, and then you put it in your mind that you will be big forever. You forget there was somebody who was big before you and they were probably big for 4 years and they went into a slump. What makes you think that you are going to be more bigger for longer or for a longer time than those people? So when you have sense, that's when you will start thinking that I probably have 5 years of fame. What am I going to do in that 5 years of fame to save for the days when I will not be famous?
The second question is a question from that young man. He says, I'm from Tembisa, I've got quality, how do I get into the industry? Yeah, there he is. I will ask him, Jakes, as well as Sabelo, so that you come in just now. Just 1 minute, let the leaders to add on the issue of the dancers.
With dancers to date, I will advise colleagues, especially with dancers, do what also to find, Soweto Finance have tried to do. Because you cannot be dancing for Abantu, getting 100 rands, 150. If they don't get gigs, that means you're going to go hungry. Visuals are the in thing currently. What you need to do, you can convert yourself from Ama dancers and go to Ama piano. Ama piano, Ama one-liner. You don't need to be singing, honestly speaking. You can do Ama piano, but dance, give line, and you dance till you sweat. And take that into the market and see what happens. I believe if you do it right, you can make it right.
Great music, great song is actually visually made by dancers. Leadership, do we have an association of dancers that focuses on dancers being actually included in some of the contracts that the artists are signing? I think that is his line. That is where it's going. Yes, leadership.
Yeah, I think that is critical, leader, is not only affecting the dancers. Let us look at the entire value chain of the music industry. There are people who are disadvantaged. First of all, as you have said, we need an association of dancers so that they can affiliate to SAMIC, so that we can engage them through that association. That's the first point. And secondly, once those dancers are there, they will be able to be recognized by the industry. And I want to raise another issue which Jalifa raised. We as the Music Industry Council, SAMIC, we need to make sure that we're enforcing the law of the industry. We're also enforcing the law of government again, to make sure that we do create our own standards within the music industry.
No, thank you very much, leadership. Leader Mjalifa and Sabelo, we've got K-Switch with us here. He has he has done everything. He's a young lad from Tembisa. He has done some works. All he's asking, how does he get into the music industry?
Yeah, I think from my side, if you have an ambition and you want to succeed in something, you must never be afraid to knock at doors. There are people who had knocked at my door, who found favor, who I worked with, who I found myself doing big stuff with them because they reached out to me. We have social media. The interesting part about social media is that it gives you access to everyone. It gives you access to Tyler Perry, to Rihanna. You can inbox anyone in the world based on where you are and what you believe in. So if you feel that you have talent and it's easy to search universal music. You find the name of the person, you search for them, you send them music, you send them your stuff, or there are bodies where you can ask and go knock at doors and say, this is what I've done, I need help with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The greatest thing you can ever do for yourself, firstly, believe in what you're doing, and secondly, don't be afraid to knock at any door. No one will ignore talent. If you are talented, no one will ignore you.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Nice one. Yes, sir. So you will ask a question, we answer it on the spot, and then the closing remarks are made. Yes, sir.
The question I want to ask is directed at Samik, and one may say even organizations like SIFSA. Is there an interest or a desire to make the ministry, if not to be impersonal, but the minister, a shareholder representative at organizations like SAMRO? Because that in itself will create better accountability at a public level.
Thank you, Chair. I think what is on the table right now, we want to revive our industry. As I said at the beginning, Chair, we're coming up with a South African music industry regulatory body, which is going to specifically deal with those issues. And that body, because it's going to be representing all of us as an industry, let me put it this way first. We want to register you as an artist so that you are accredited, you got a license within that body. So whoever who is within the music industry, whether it's a collecting society, whether it's an event organizer, promoter, or administrator, is accredited with a license. And you'll recall what Majalefa have said. We'll come up with the standards where all of us will be consulted so that we develop our own rules and regulations. Then that body must monitor that. So in your question, we'll make sure that body, whether it's that body or SAMIC, must have a seat in the board of SAMRO or any other collecting societies. But all that is going to be discussed in our upcoming next policy conference leader. In conclusion, in my side, Chair, we are coming up with the music industry directory, where all of us, we need to appear in that directory. Whether we are a musician, a promoter, an organizer, a certain music industry organization, so that people like you can get that particular director to say, if I want this is a person I can contact. If I want an organization which is related to traditional music, this is an organization within that directory. So by doing that, we'll know exactly who's doing what, where in South Africa within the music industry. And lastly, that board is going to accredit everybody so that we do have our own rules, so that nobody is going to come outside South Africa or outside the music industry and abuse that internally. And also to deal with our own dispute, Chairperson. So that board is going to assist us. Let me stop there. Thank you.
I wanted to ask, because I'm a fashion designer, sithola kanjani amathuba okustyla abantu behind the scenes at TV?
If you know which programs have the same things that you aspire to achieve, just go to your Facebook. Firstly, write a profile about yourself. As long as you present yourself, they know who you are. And when I look at your page, it must give me an insight of what type of a person am I working with. If I see on your page you are venting about you dress so and so, you forgot to give you credit, I'm looking at my brand and I'm like, this is not where I want to be. You understand? So I'm saying, use what you have in your hands, your phone.
The last question.
My question is, how is the music industry organization engaging with technical, being the companies that are hiring out sound, lighting, camera, and so forth? Because now, so far, the only time they ever come into the picture is when there's sponsors from private companies or from government.
So there are two major companies or associations that we know. The first one is SARA, and the second one is right at the back there. Yeah. So yes, they are out there. They are members of our organization because we cannot survive without the technical. Light, camera, sound, we can't do without. And yes, indeed, they are highly involved. As a producer yourself, please make sure that you are in touch with these particular organizations.
There's only just one question from my side. I'm very concerned and worried about the standard of our social cohesion as the industry in South Africa, because we are reflecting to the rest of the world. And in a certain way, we are a personality speaking together. So I would like to challenge you on an answer what kind of personality do you think we share to the rest of the world, and basically what is our social cohesion? Thank you.
Good. Budbongan, uyabhala ngazo zonke lezi zinto lezi. I-social cohesion yethu yala South Africa nje. What is the South African music posture to the world?
Well, the most interesting fact is that if you look at South African music in the 70s and 80s, there was a great deal of collaborations between black and white musicians. in South Africa. And this was during apartheid when they were not allowed to do that. If you look at Johnny Clegg, 1969, the Universal album, it's Maskandi fused with rock music. That's social cohesion at a much deeper level. He is a person, for whatever reason, let's forget about his reason, but he makes time to understand the culture of another and fuses the culture. And the Universal album became one of the biggest albums in the world. And in the 80s, you had a lot of rock groups in South Africa using umbaqanga in their music. That was social cohesion. Today, I don't think we see much of that happening in South Africa for whatever reason. And I think the music industry needs to look at the reasons why we don't have those type of social cohesion type of collaborations between race groups. You can see the divisions are very clear. That the white musicians have their own little corner, the black musicians have their little corner there. Why is that happening? We need to look into that, because what we're doing by separating ourselves, we are weakening our uniqueness. I need to have the expression that we are unique in diversity. I don't know if I've got it right. But our uniqueness is weakened by the fact that we are taking separate directions. We're not combining our strengths to give the world a uniquely South African diverse culture.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's just go to Zoom. Mujalifa and Nongel and Sabelo, please just do your closing remarks. Let me start with you, Nongelo, very quickly. Let's wrap up, my leader.
No, thank you very much for having Sakai on this platform. I think these are conversations that are very vital if we want to advance the development of our sector, and most importantly, shaping the creative economy that we want. We are here as industry organizations and the stakeholders to ensure that we create an enabling industry for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, leadership champion, the work. Mujalifa?
Yeah, my closing remarks, if you know you're good at what you do, then don't give up.
Budbongan, as a publisher, please, your last message, and then Babdlamini, your last message, and then see Valen Matot in those few words.
Okay, earlier on, must address the issue of what music is good for his programs. I wanted to add the timing. Never make a mistake of seeing a program on TV and then say, now you want to put your music there. It takes months of production. So that's why you need to keep those relationships going continuously. And if you think of something, think of next year. Always think ahead. Then in closing, I always like saying, music is business. And the business of music is totally dependent on all its practitioners like you, understanding their value and equipping themselves. Because without the necessary skills, we're not going to get anywhere. So let's keep this as professional as possible whilst we are enjoying what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, leader. Give it. Babdlamin, your parting shot.
Thank you, sir. One, I want to take this opportunity and thank the organizers of this particular workshop, and also thank you as the audience, and thanks to my colleagues and the program director. I just want to say to you that there are no shortcuts in life. Every shortcut, even in a passage where it stops somewhere at the T-junction. When you want to do something, just do it in full force. And do not ever make a mistake when you sing good in a shower. You will sing good for everybody in South Africa. It's very important that you distinguish between the two. And what is also important is that, Samba online much. That's where we are now on it. And everybody wants to do something out of the industry. Find information first before you come in. Research and research and research. And understand your own identity, because without your own understanding of your own identity, you'll be fooling all of us, and the biggest mistake is that you'll be fooling yourself. So stop fooling yourself, know your strength, know your weaknesses. If you're a good songwriter, stick to that lane. Hambang or line lap. If you're a good dancer, stick to that lane. don't try and be a solution to all the problems, but focus on what will work for you tomorrow. I thank you.
My name is Mandla Masego, Senior on all social media platforms. My cell phone number is 074 754 4477. It's been a great and wonderful session with all this expertise that are here with us. I will repeat the number just before I ask you, all of us, to give it the biggest shout out and applause to Saada for putting together such an event